We are honored that you're here to listen to one of our own, Dr. Asha Rono. Myself, I was really happy to see her trending, for the right reasons, for the resilience. So it's not easy to just wake up and, for other people, they may think, that's an overnight success. So if there's people you may think that they had an overnight success, then for Asha, man, it's a long way. So, and most of you, I'm sure you've read her story, and that's why you're here. You've read her story online. I'm glad that she's here so that she can actually tell us how she overcame all the challenges, and hopefully all of us will get inspired today. I don't have much. Maybe I'll give it back to Dr. Jerono so she can officially welcome Dr. Asha Rono.
Okay. So welcome everybody. This is Jerono. As you all know, the one who started this KESID because of my deep passion for students and for young people, especially in this country when it can be extremely difficult. So you need help, you need that support system. When the rest of us were here those days, we didn't have this support system. So once I went through and I made it, I'm like, God, help me. If I get that opportunity, I'm gonna be there for somebody, be there for the student, hold their hand, give them a shoulder to cry on, to support them. So that is what we do. We have our board members, and I'll introduce them later. I think I can see Dr. Janet Bai, he's here, Dr. Muchai is here. So we are just here to support you, anything that we can do to empower you. So when I saw what Dr. Asha Sigey was doing, I was so empowered. I was in tears just seeing what she's going through and how far she has come. And I'm not gonna spoil the show for you. I'm gonna let you hear it from the voice, from the horse's mouth. She'll tell you the story, how she has overcome. And the reason why we are here today is that if Asha can do it, if Dr. Muchai can do it, if Jerono can do it, if Dr. Janet Bai can do it, you all can do it. So welcome, Dr. Sigey. Introduce yourself and just, I didn't want to spoil, so tell us, who you are, what you do, and your journey, and what are some of the words of wisdom that you can share with the students who are here with us tonight. We have faculty too, so we are all here to enjoy and be empowered.
Yeah. Right. Well, I want to say thank you, first of all, Dr. Jerono, for inviting me and pulling me in. I really appreciate that. So by names, I officially go by Dr. Asha Sigey Rono, but people call me Asha. I currently live in North Carolina, and as you all know, I just started this new position as the Chief Pathologist and the Laboratory Medical Director at Iredell Health System. And actually this week, I'm not just covering Iredell Health System, I'm covering another hospital. So it's two, basically my position, double the work. Yeah. I started this position in January of this year, so I am 4 weeks old in the new position. I graduated last year from Medical University of South Carolina. I was doing a subspecialty program. It's called hematopathology. And then before that, I was in Tennessee. That's where I met with Eric. I was at East Tennessee State University. I did my medical residency there, specializing in the field of pathology. And before that, I did 1 year at Duke University. I did a master's in clinical informatics. And then before that, I was practicing in Kenya as a general practitioner. So I was what we call a medical officer in Kericho District Hospital. And that's also the place where I did my internship. And then before that, I was in med school at University of Nairobi for 5 years, which I graduated in 2010. And then before that, I did high school in Kipsigis Girls High School in Kericho. It's a provincial school. And during my time, apparently I was the first student to get an A. And then before that, I attended nursery school to class 8 at Motobo Primary School. So I come from Kericho, and I'm the fifth born in a family of 7 kids. I come from a place called Nyagacho Motobo. I don't like when people say it's a slum, but I have come to face the reality. To outsiders, it's a slum, but for me, it's a place of my best childhood memories ever. That's where I have friends, I have relatives. Like, that's my childhood. That's my home. So I was raised, my mom used to cook mandazi and sell them. And she used to hawk them in Kericho town. So she'd make mandazis, pack them in packages, and then we'll go sell them to shops so that shops can sell them. So she was like a wholesale suppliers of mandazi and donuts in Kericho town. And my dad was a taxi driver. He owned a taxi. In Kericho. Yeah, someone says they know Nyagacho very well. Yeah. So my dad used to be a taxi driver during those days. So life was really good. I thought we never slept hungry, and we were never like out of hatuna nguo ya kuvaa or food. Like I thought we had a very beautiful childhood. Like, we were playing, we were eating, we were living next door to our friends and my close cousins. Like, we had fun and life was okay. And I think also going to the local primary school kind of sheltered us from this idea of, oh my goodness, mnatoka Nyagacho. Like, there was nothing wrong with us there, because all of us were from the same place. There was nothing wrong with us. So life was okay. Like, life was just okay until when I was in class 6. My mom had a road traffic accident and died. And I think that was the first time, like, I literally was shaken to, like, oh my goodness, what just happened? And, just coming from a 2-income family, from my dad and my mom, both of them, combining their salary to, take care of us, we never felt, like we were poor or anything. So after that, nika realize ni kubaya. Because I remember now in class, once the funeral happened, and then of course after the funeral, everyone goes away. And that's when reality hits that, home is no longer home. There's no mom who used to do literally a lot of things for us at home. My four elder siblings at that time, they were in high school, boarding school. So after the funeral, they went back to school. So I became the first mtoto mkubwa wa nyumba, and I was in class 6. And then I had 2 small sisters. So I automatically felt like I'm responsible for my 2 small sisters. I would hate for them to cry, like, mom is not here. And so, I don't know, I was just so moved that my only life goal at that time was to make my 2 small sisters not to feel a difference with mom not being there. And so that meant me, I don't know, I kind of just started strategizing, me waking up, like, I asked my dad for an alarm clock so that niamke mapema by 5:30, I'm up, niakishe stove, nipike chai, niamshe my sisters, and then niakishe jiko ya makaa. I put beans, na unajua ile unaeka makaa ndogo ndogo ndio beans ichemke pole pole. So I put beans to cook pole pole, and then tunaenda shule. Then tukirudi lunchtime, kuna 15 minutes, that's chap chap ya kupika either ugali or rice. Then we eat, then we go back to school, and then jioni tukifika, me and my dad will take care of dinner and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's how I started being consciously responsible. And it slowly also translated into schoolwork. Like, before my mom died, like, I was just a kid I was never conscious even what I was doing in school. But after that, just kuchukua responsibility of taking care of my sisters also started translating to me being responsible with my schoolwork. And it's when I noticed, oh, I am not doing well in this and this and this. Maybe I actually need to start reading at home and all that kind of stuff. And I remember in class 7, my math teacher aliamka akakuja class akasema, we just did a test and I think I'd gotten a 60%. You know, in our school, if you get a 55%, you are good. Like 55, those days ilikuwa KCP out of 700. And you know, our life goal was to get above 350, you're good, you're set from our school. So I think I got like a 70% in math. And, you know, my teacher just made me stand up and he acknowledged me. And I think that really pushed me in terms of, oh my goodness, what I'm doing in math, I can actually translate it to this other subject. Like, what can I do? And so I did that. By the time I was in class 8, my new life goal became of nataka kwenda KESID Scouts, because that was like the provincial school of the best provincial school in Kericho for girls. So that became my new life goal. And I wanted to get like a 500 out of 700 marks to go to KESID Scouts. And I think I got like a 490 something, but still I managed to be called to KESID Scouts. So life was very hard because now my dad, imagine with his taxi business, and all of us were in boarding school, just to raise school fees for all of us. And by the time I was joining Form 1, my big sister alikuwa amemaliza Form 4. So I was literally just replacing another person in boarding school, high school in Kenya. And I think now when I was in Form 2, that's when our dad decided to sell his taxi because he really needed to raise school fees for us. And he told us, you know, Mimi, I've tried my best. I can only go up to Form 4. So I'm going to promise all of you, nitawasomesha all of you up to Form 4, but after Form 4, kila mtu na njia yake. And you know, of course, that all of us, we understood the reality of home. And so that was another wake-up call for me that, hey, you know, I am, by any chance, I am not talented in any other aspect of life, but I think I have a chance with education. So let me try and focus and pour my energy over there. And that became like my driving force for me. I understood where I was coming from. I understood my struggle at home and all that kind of stuff. And I knew what I only had to work with. And so I gave it my best shot. It was also in high school that I realized people call Nyagacho slum. It was also in high school that I realized, oopsies, we don't come from a well-off family. I was like, I thought we were okay. But yeah, so I went through, you know, mpaka Form 4 nikamaliza 4th form, and I got an A. And I was so happy I got an A. And my dad, we had a small home party and all that kind of stuff. Then after everyone has celebrated and, you know, gone away, my dad just, you know, pulled me aside and asked me, Mom, unawezaje pata A na unajua nyumbani hatuna pesa, unataka nikufanyie nini? And it wasn't like he was mad at me or anything. It was just the reality of things. And so I talked with him. I was like, you know, I'm gonna look for a job and need to apply for help, and we'll see where to go from there. And at that time, I remember so well because I felt like math and physics were my strong areas. I wanted to go into engineering. I wanted to go to engineering school. But my dad convinced me to try med school, which is a story for another day. But in terms of money-wise, I decided to get a job in a local private school, primary private school. It's called Milimani Grammar School. For those who come from Kericho might know that school. So I started teaching class 4 and 5 English over there, while with the hope of raising money, changaing money so that I can have some cash to add on help when I go to med school. While I was doing that, I was also helping. My dad had a small kiosk nyumbani, so we used to sell like majani, sukari, chumvi hapo nyumbani. So while I was helping him, you know, keep the shop, one person came and he was alikuwa anakuja, some old guy anakuja kujikinga mvua mbele ya duka yetu. And of course, we were, Kericho with tea. I had a tea flask with me. So I offered him a cup of tea, and then he was asking me where where I went to school. And I was excited. I mean, I just gotten an A. I was so excited to share that part of the story with him. So I was like, yeah, I just finished from Kipsigis Girls. I'd gotten an A. And of course, he could tell by the look of where we lived, like these people, they might not be able to raise school fees. So through him, he just as total stranger, he agreed. He asked me about if I knew about some scholarship being offered by James Finlay Tea Company. And I said I didn't know. Then he said he's not sure if the application period is over, but he's going to take my result slip, and he asked me to write a letter of need for that scholarship. So I did that, and he took my application. He took my application and gave it out to them. The next thing I hear is I'm getting a letter inviting me for an interview, me and my dad. And so we went, and I got a scholarship from James Finlay, full ride. When they say full ride, they take care of my tuition, for the hostel, for food. They calculated even pocket money for books, like, full ride. So I got a scholarship, and that's how I went to med school. So I went to med school for the 5 years, and then after 5 years in Kenya, you have to do 1 year of internship, and that's when I went back home to do 1 year of internship. I purposely went back home because during the first 6 months, in our time when we were doing internship, you don't get paid, and then you get this lump sum pay at the end of the first 6 months of internship. So I knew sikukuwa na help na sina do, so I had to go back. So I made myself go back home and do internship in Kericho district so that I can live at home and reduce the expenses and all that kind of stuff. So I did 1 year of internship in Kericho, and then I ended up practicing there for 1.5 years. And then by that time, I got married, and my husband was here in the US. So I moved to the US. Coming in the US was a rude shock for me. So first of all, I had to figure out a way of transitioning as a medic from Kenya to the US. And of course, I don't know, for me, my attitude at that time was, umekuwa ukipita, umekuwa ukipata mae, like, your thing, your way through things. And then you land in this strange place whereby everything is new. You have to figure this thing out. And that's the first time I learned I have to ask for help, which was not an easy thing on my end. Like, mimi niulize mtu anisaidie, after figuring life out for myself and by myself with just my family, and then coming and wanting to ask help from strangers, it's a hard thing. So I had to look for people around who've done, transition as medics over here, and actually ask them for help and guidance on how to do what, how to do the licensing exams. And so I did the licensing exams. It's a 3-part exams. I did the first one, I did the second one, and then the third one, I did the third one, I failed, which was a big blow for me, because the residency system here, they consider your marks for your licensing exam. And, some residency program, they don't even consider international medical graduates. That's what they call us. And so you are in IMG, and then you have failed your step 3 exams, that automatically disqualifies you. And so that was a huge, huge blow for me. So I applied for residency the first time. I didn't even get no one invited me for an interview. And so when that happened and that circle of application was over, I had to go back to the drawing board in terms of, number one, do I want to go back home and continue to practice home? And of course, that's complicated in terms of I have a family, and then I had already had my firstborn child here. And so that was complicated in terms of trying to think that out. And then the second thing I thought of was, what else can I do to make me stand out as an applicant for residency? And so I started talking with people, asking people for guidance around me. And that's how I ended up applying to join Duke University and to do masters in clinical informatics. And it was after I graduated, immediately after I graduated from Duke, that's when the next application season for residency had started. And I honestly applied for 15 programs, and I got called for interviews in 12 programs out of the 15 programs I had applied to. And I think the only difference this time was just that I had masters from a university over here, which made apparently a big difference in my application. And so I did that. I went to my first interview, which was at East Tennessee State University. Ideally, you're supposed to go through the interview season, and then in the month of March, everyone ranks different programs, and then the programs rank different applicants, and then they use this system whereby they try to match, depending on how you've ranked a program and how they've ranked you, they can match you up together. But when I went to East Tennessee State University, I interviewed with them, and they offered me a spot on spot, like same day. And so for me, after experiencing not getting a position the previous year, I just accepted it, and I pulled out of all that system. So I didn't even interview in the other programs. I took that position, and then now that's when I stayed there for 4 years, and then I did my fellowship at MUSC for 1 year, and then I got this job, which I am 4 weeks old. I'm gonna stop there, such that kama mtu ako na swali, clarification now, unaweza uliza at this point.
Wow, Asha, it sounds like a movie. Everybody's quiet, I'm sure, and everybody's glued on their screen because that story, man, I'm inspired. Actually, nimefanya nifikirie juu ya, I'm thinking about Nelson Mandela, on how he emphasized on education. And there's different quotes that I really like when Mandela emphasizes about education. So I'll go ahead and read one here. That, so it's a quote, opening quote: "Education is a great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, that a child of a farm workers can become the president of the great nation. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another."
Oh, wow.
So I think that quote is really amazing, and it's really relates to, the story here, right? Like, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter who you are, what your circumstances are, you can always overcome. So Asha's story is just, it's amazing, and I'm really inspired. And so we have Patrick Ochieng. I see your hand is up there, so you can unmute yourself and talk and ask a question.
Okay, thank you so much, Eric, for giving me the time. Thank you so much, Asha. I am extremely proud of you, and especially hearing your story, I am really proud, and I think this is a very good form of encouragement to many of us who have gone through similar challenges and issues. So when I heard you grew up in Nyagacho, I was just stunned, because I lived in Kericho and I was in Kimugu Estate. Okay, so I was picking tea there as I was waiting to go to the university. I remember some people asking me, you are a small child. What are you doing here with these old people picking tea? You should be in school.
Yeah.
And I consider Kimugu Estate slum. But the Kimugu people considered Nyagacho much slummier, if there's a word like that, much slummier than where people were picking tea. So when I listen to your story and to where you live, because every time we heard that somebody was coming from Nyagacho, there was that look that you gave them. And I am so impressed, and especially with losing your mom, you know, at that tender age, that tragic. It sounds to me like I may have heard about it, and I really want to congratulate you for, you know, just pushing along and being an inspiration to many girls, to many people, and may God bless you and continue telling your story. If possible, even write a book about it, because I think it's going to be very, very inspirational to young people and Kenyans and Africans at large. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. I want to say Kimugu used to be Ubabini.
Yes. We thought we were in the slums until we saw we heard Nyangacho, and we were like, no, that's
Babini. If you live on the opposite side of town.
Yeah.
Well, no, thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'm a professor at Oakwood University, which is in Alabama. I'm also the chair of chemistry department. So if there's anybody who needs anything chemistry, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Patrick. And hopefully you've spoken with Dr. Jerono, because we're always looking for mentors.
Yeah, he's actually one of our chemistry mentors, so he's already in the chemistry group. So yes, thank you so much. Daktari is one of our very reliable mentors. He's taking care of the chemistry and the math group. That, you know, we have a group for chemistry. We have a lot of them. So thank you so much, Daktari. We appreciate it. And thank you, Eric. Yes. And thank you, of course, my sister.
We have Janet, Dr. Janet Barr. Janet, you can go ahead.
Hello, Asha, and hello, colleagues and students. Very commendable. And I'm just amazed at how you are able to overcome the circumstances, you know, that you are thrust in at a very young age. So can you tell us some of the things that, can you share some of the things or stuff that was in place to support you, you know, growing up, you know, as a teenager, you are in school, you are without a mother and all that, and how you managed to succeed? Because I'm particularly interested in what KESID girls did to support you.
Oh, okay. Thank you for asking that question.
Hold on. If you have your mic, please mute your mics, please. Okay, go ahead, Asha.
Yeah. So I feel like throughout my academic journey, the fact that a teacher or two teachers noticed me or knew what my circumstances were and pulled me aside and reminded me, you can do this, and you know, we are here for you, was really helpful. So KESID girls, my class teacher, I was very fortunate to have the same class teacher from Form 1 to Form 4, and she knew, you know, she knew my background, and she was more like a mom to me. You know, dads, during visiting day, dad would just come with his newspaper and a, you know, na pakiti moja ya KCC, and that's it. So I was very privileged that my class teacher would literally come during visiting day to visit me. And then also I had best friends, and they knew my story, and of course they told their moms. So visiting day for me, it was mostly a party of class teacher nakuja kuni visit, and then mama ya my friend, her name was Betsy. Mama Betsy, when she comes, I'm in the and you know, she's there, she'll feed all of us and she'll give me pocket money. Mama ya, there's a friend of mine called Delvin too. When her family comes, they used to incorporate me with them. So I would say my class teacher and my biology teacher, they were very, very instrumental, especially in KESID girls. And if they noticed anything amiss, those people, they would literally come and call me aside from class and ask me, are you okay? If you need anything, let us know. So that's the support I received in high school. As a teenager coming home, I wouldn't say there was like a lot of support. The only thing that kept me grounded over time was just, knowing that kwenda nyumbani, you don't want to get in trouble because you don't want kusumbua father. I used to feel like my dad has a lot in his plate and I never wanted to get in trouble so that I add to his plate. So I think those things kind of grounded me in terms of just keeping myself out of trouble. Going to med school, first year in med school, I was really focused in med school, especially in first year. I knew what I was doing in school, and I was, focused and all that kind of stuff. In second year, that's when, as people say, karibu nianze kujua jiji in Nairobi. But I had close friends. There's a friend of mine called Lillian. She was an SDA, and just by the virtue of being close friends and I feel like most of the people who are close to me, they knew where I was coming from, they knew my background. When she saw me sleeping away or joining bad groups or starting to do stuff that shouldn't be done by someone like me, she'd pull me aside and talk to me. And by third year, I was fully plugged into the med school PU. And I feel like that was my saving grace of living in Nairobi by myself and trying to, maneuver through college life and all that kind of stuff. So I would say, those are the kind of support that I got in high school and in campus.
Awesome. So what I'll say, because I know when we start, everybody's, I wish everybody would get a chance to speak. But if you have any questions, you can put it on the chat there, and then Asha will be looking and see, we can select what she can answer. Just go ahead and write your questions there. And then we have JM Esmond. I've seen your hand being up for the longest, so you can ask your question.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to make sure that my stove is off so that my food doesn't burn. Sorry, my apologies. You can see Professor Jerono laughing, and I appreciate Professor for doing this together. I am, my name is Pastor Esmond. I'm a pastor at Goya Rich Ministries, Columbus, Ohio, and extremely excited about, this, program, and quite a number of intrigues have, come up as Asha was sharing. One of it was, the mention of Nyagacho, because that's where I probably got most of my mentors came from there. I got ordained at Kericho Day as a minister under World Kingdom Service, as Mugure, and then later on be under the mentorship of Franklin Bate, who was, great minister of the gospel. But, that background aside, one of the, my biggest question is that as a pastor, I've seen a lot of people come through our church, and some people really ask a lot of questions in terms of how they can be mentored, how can they be integrated into our community. And one of our biggest team that has been a challenge to get connection with our people in the medical field, especially doctors from Kenya. Sometimes people come in. Personally, I came in as a graduate student, having done education math. Now I'm a PhD student in as a data analyst. But that aside, my question to you is this. One of the challenges, one of the biggest team that we have ever received when they come through our churches are people who are either doctors in Kenya and trying to, come to the US, and how they can be integrated to be able to get into their profession. So is there like maybe a way you have thought through how you can help this specific group of professionals in terms of coming to the US and how they can, get into their profession and all that? Because that's been a real challenging, because every time people come in there, okay, I get of people of white doctors in Kenya, they come in, they end up becoming like, I'm sorry to say, I'm not trying to downgrade any profession, but they have to start from the bottom of the ladder here. They want to be, STNAs to come up. But is there a way that you have maybe thought through that an easier way of transition from you being gone through a training in Kenya, become a doctor, but coming to the US, the system is different and all that? Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
So in my quest to try to settle here and go through this process, I reached out. I knew a few of the Kenyan medics who had successfully transitioned, and that's when I started asking for help. And then I realized finally we actually have a Facebook group of Kenyan medics trying to transition to the US. And I think it also includes Kenyan medics trying to transition into the European countries. That one has a lot of resources, and people share their journey there, where specifically where they are. Like, someone can say, I am doing my step 1 of my licensing exam. What books did you use? I'm trying to get this. What did, that kind of stuff. So that group is in existence. And I think most of the Kenyans who come here and try to transition do not know such group exists. There are also other groups like on WhatsApp, like Kenyan medics in the US. These are groups of people who are transitioning and people who have fully transitioned. So resources are out there. I think it's always just the difficulty is for new people when they're coming in to know the availability of these resources. And Pastor Esmond, I don't mind sharing my contact with you such that you can, redirect those people to me and I can plug them into these groups.
Yeah, for sure. That would be helpful. Or, either way, you can even share with Professor Jerono and I can get it, or you can share with me directly, because Professor Jerono has been extremely, every year I hold an annual meeting for, Kenyan graduates and all that. So please share with me, because that will really, really, really be very helpful. I'll reach out to Professor. Thank you.
I wouldn't mind. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
James Murithi asked, would you highlight the skills and resources you use to overcome the stressful parts of your story? Oh my goodness. There was a lot of crying. There's a lot of giving up. But I think the skill that I have built along is being resilient. And I feel like being resilient does not mean you do not break down, you do not go down to the level of your disappointment and your, the stress you're going through. Resilience always means like getting back up and trying it again. So I think resilience, I would say, is one of my skills that, kind of pull me through my stressful periods. The other thing is, I want to stress on this, asking for help and talking with people. As much as Google knows a lot of things, people know, much more, people are much more resourceful than a simple Google search. And for you to ask for help, you have to be vulnerable, and you have to be okay with being vulnerable, because when you're asking for help, means also you're positioning yourself in a state of you're okay with someone helping you out, and that doesn't mean you're weak or anything. So asking for help, and being just resilient and not giving up, and just being grounded in terms of ninatoka wapi and what do I want to do with my life.
Love it. I love it, Dr. Asha. Resilience. That's awesome. Yeah, you can look at, we have a few comments and questions. You can go ahead and just respond.
So while she's looking at that, Pastor Esmond, I'll share the contact. So I'll give you Asha's contact, and Asha, I'll also give you Pastor's information.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sure.
yeah. So I met Asha in an event in North Carolina a few years ago, right? And Asha just hugged me from the back. She jumped on me. She's like, oh, I was like, what was it? It was such a moment. She's like, you are one of my inspirations. I've been following you. So we just hugged and we connected. And then her husband, who I just saw, I know he's in the group. I'll give him time later to say something, is Dennis Rono. Those of you who are at KESID in Atlanta, Dennis was also with us. So thank you, Dennis, for the support. We'll give you time later to just say hi to the group, because we know you're the support behind our sister Asha.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I see any other questions on the chat. Okay, well, someone would say, what does mentorship mean to you? This is from Dixon Otieno. What does mentorship mean to me? Mentorship is just having someone to hold your hand and walk through a path that they have walked through. That path might not directly lead to where you're trying to go, but it might cover part of the journey you're trying to, part of the steps you're trying to, go through. And mentorship comes in different, life is not just about, just education. There's multiple aspects of life. I'm married and I have small kids. And well, I want to tell you, I needed mentorship in terms of being a young mom in school. So I needed to look for people who've had kids and while going through school and get some guidance from there. Of course, I'm a wife. Trust me, I needed mentorship in that aspect too. This is like looking at an older couple that you feel like their values align to you, and you think that the kind of life they're leading in their marriage is what you aspire. And so that also comes back to you being able to ask for help and ask them, like, can you show me? It's literally asking someone, I have seen you walking through this path successfully. Please show me how you did it. I want to learn from you. So I've literally looked for people with young kids, people who've been married and who've been successfully married and stayed in married. I've looked for people my age, who are in America, like just a woman in America, and all the pressure that it comes with it. And so for me, mentorship is just like looking at different aspects of your life and thinking of who is successful in this area of my life and who can I look up to. And there's also financial mentorship. There's also spiritual mentorship. And so I would say it's very, very important. It doesn't have to be formal. Mentorship for me is a way of you asking for help and you receiving help and guidance in where you want to go.
That's awesome.
Okay, go ahead, Eric, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Prof.
No, we have one more, and then I really promised Asha, because she's had a very, very long day. So Asha, we have one more question, and then we're gonna really bring this, because I know you. She's had a rough day. She's had a very hectic day, and I promised to keep it to 1 hour. Yes.
Yeah. So someone is asking. This is from Juliet. Juliet is asking, wearing a lot of hats throughout your journey, that is having a child while adjusting to life here. Any advice on how you balance it all as a mom, wife, and as a professional? Well, here's the thing, they try to sell us this narrative of life, work balance. I don't think you will ever, the sad news, I don't think you'll ever balance it. The good news, I follow, there's a particular doc I follow on Facebook. I tend to pick up the good bits from her. And she says, you have to compartmentalize that word. It's refusing to come out of my mouth. You have to make your life in compartments. And whatever compartment you are at that particular time. At this particular time, my compartment is talking with you guys. So I'm trying to do my best here. Are my children sleeping well at this point? I have no idea. So that might be, shattering down. Is my husband okay? Hi, Dennis. He's in another room. I don't know if he's okay. So my thoughts is usually like, whatever you're doing at that time, if you can give it 100%, and once you're done, to move on to the next compartment, you can say you gave it your best. And I felt like the days I felt like I was doing a really good job in school. I'm handing in my assignments on time and all that kind of stuff. That is the day I am so guilty I'm not spending enough time with my family. And then it's the reverse. I'm trying to spend enough time with my family. We're having time. That's when I'm late, turning in assignments and all that kind of stuff. So I eventually I reached a point whereby when I was in school, I would try as much as possible. If we have assignments and all that, I try as much as possible and finish everything at school, such that when I come home, I am in my home compartment and I am fully present at that time. So no, there's no balancing. It's just trying your best in all your compartments and making sure things are surviving, and you decide what you're sacrificing, just being aware of what you're sacrificing at any particular time. I don't think I answered that question properly, but that's just how I view it. Yeah, Juliet, say thank you. Somebody else is asking, what would you tell your younger self, or someone who thinks everything is tumbling around them? What would I tell my younger self? I would literally tell my younger self, what you're on the right path. Keep at it, and keep going. Don't give up. I would literally just encourage my younger self that, at that point, it used to feel like I'm trying to fight this battle to keep hitting this wall and trying to bring this wall down, and it's not getting down. I get discouraged, and I come back, I keep hitting, it's not. And if I could go back to that time, I would tell myself to keep hitting harder. We will eventually bring that wall down. So for everyone who is, feeling like everything is scrambling all around you, you're trying to hit this wall and this wall is not coming down, climbing a mountain is a step at a time. So keep hitting that wall. If your hand starts bleeding, get down, get discouraged, but the most important part is for you to come up again and hit that wall. How did you manage disappointments and rejection? I was hard. Like, disappointments and rejections were very heartbreaking for me. So I want to tell everyone, the first exams I failed in this country was the my driver's license exam. After passing school, like, exams, I had never failed exams, and I failed my driving test. I was disappointed. Number one, I had a lot of attitudes. Dennis Rono can tell you. Dennis Rono had tried to teach me how to drive a car, and I felt like, mi ninajua kuendesha gari, kwani ku make U-turn ni ngumu aje? And so I refused to listen to what my husband was trying to advise me to do, and I decided kichwa ngumu kwenda kufanya driving test. Of course, I failed, and it made me swallow a humble pie and come to the acceptance of, I actually don't know everything, and I actually need help. And it's high time I start listening to the people around me who've done this thing and they've succeeded. And so I humbly went back to my husband and asked him to actually teach me how to drive. And that's when I got my driver's license. So the disappointments from rejection, they were heartbreaking. It's okay to go down and cry and be very disappointed. But again, I think the greatest thing you can give to yourself is to, once that is all settled down, for you to again try to come up and look at your situation in a realistic way, and then now try to come up with now what is plan B and how do we move from here to the next place we are moving to.
So what does your day look like? What is your day, what does your day as a chief pathologist and director look like now?
On a normal day, I start work at 8, normal day, but sometimes it's at 7, depending on what they need. So on a normal day, quote in quotes, I would get to work at 8, and then I get reports from the lab managers from the different sections of the lab on what happened during the night, or what needs my attention, what needs signatures, what needs to be reviewed, and all that kind of stuff. So that usually takes me, like, I would say an hour, just going through documents and talking with them and just making sure that the workload for the day, everything is okay, and we have all the everything the lab needs, we have everything to run. Then once that part is over, I switch now to my pathology cap, whereby now it's mostly diagnostic sciences. And I say most of the time from around 9 a.m. to around 3 p.m. it's just me in my office and a microscope, just looking at different teeny tiny body parts and making diagnoses of different things, which is my favorite part of the day. And then once I'm done, I have to write reports of all these cases I've seen. And so I just make sure the reports are good and they're ready to be sent out. And I allow for the reports to be sent out. And then now at 3 p.m., I go looking for the lab managers again, just to do like a round in the lab and make sure everything is fine. If there are any, emergencies or, anything that needs to be dealt with, I am there. Which usually takes again another about 1 hour. And by 4 o'clock, on most days I'm done, unless there's a meeting that I have to attend and all that kind of stuff. Then I get home at around 4:35. I have to make sure I have a 7-year-old, so I have to make sure homework is done. And then I have to play. I have a 2-year-old. That one usually is always on me. I have to make sure we play. If I don't play with him, it becomes another human being altogether. So I make peace. We play so that he is okay. And then around 6, I would say around 6, they go take a shower. And then around 7, we eat family dinner. At 8 o'clock, the kids go to bed. No, the 7-year-old goes to bed. I remain with the other one. And then we go to sleep at 9 o'clock. And then we start the day again.
Wow, Asha, you always make me cry. I've listened to your story and your father and your journey. I always get my box of tissues when I'm listening to your story. So because of just an inspiration, and thank you so much for what you do. You've been such an inspiration, and young lady, just so inspiring. We're so proud of you. I will be remiss if I do not give, we always say that behind a successful man, there's a beautiful, hardworking woman. But we also learn to say that behind a successful woman, there's a handsome man who has been very supportive. So Mr. Dennis, you want to say something? Tell us how you've supported, how you've stood by your wife all through.
Amen.
All right. Anyway, I see some familiar faces. So let me first thank all of you for coming in today to listen to my wife tell you about her story and how she's made it to where she is right now. I was just here today for cheerleading. So I came a little bit later because I had to put the kids to bed, but I'll say we've worked as a team since we got married, and we've helped each other out. We were both in school until 2019. Now, after I finished school, then she continued on, and I was able to at least give more time to, for support. I wish all of you, I know most of you are students if not all. I wish all of you the best in your programs, and the sky is the limit. So go for your dreams and never give up.
I want to add and say, I want to publicly thank my husband for all the support he's given me. And sometimes I'm a very stubborn human being, but I look like I'm able to balance life and kids and all that kind of stuff. It's because I have a very loving and supportive husband. Yeah. So there is the secret.
Thank you. I think I know Asha needs to go to sleep. We all need to go to bed. She needs to go to sleep because she goes to bed at 9. I'm going to ask, thank you so much, Eric, for moderating this session. We'll keep doing this every month. We actually do this monthly. We bring different speakers. I think the next month we'll hear from the students' experiences themselves, what they've gone through, how they can empower each other. And then I think that's in February. In March, we have somebody talking about scholarships and how to access fellowships and scholarships. And then in April, we will have our, so we have in April, I think in May, we have our celebration for those who graduated in fall and the spring. At this time, I want to invite, Anastasia, your hand is up. I'm looking for Pastor Esmond. Did he leave?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, I want you to close for us with a word of prayer. Oh, we have our board members. I do apologize. I see Dr. Muchai. Dr. Muchai, you want to say hi? Dr. Muchai is one of the board members of KESID. It's actually the CFO for KESID, engineer Dr. Muchai. Dr. Muchai.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the students. Thank you, Dr. Asha, for your inspirational story. Hopefully, each one of us have taken something from your story to take us the next milestone. So I hope the students took notes. It is really, really a moving story. Thank you for opening your hearts to us.
Thank you. We have Dr. Janet Mbaha, who's also on the board. Janet, you want to say something? I know she spoke earlier on. Can we see your face? If not, Janet, sorry.
Let's see. Let's try that magic here.
Okay. I just want to show you the people behind these. We work as a team, and then we have the student leaders. Okay, Janet is there, Dr. Okay, Paul.
Good evening again. Congratulations, Dr. Asha. Your story is inspiring. And I wish you could share, with students in Kenyan schools and all that. And I hope one day you'll be given that audience through our news media and so on. I'm a professor at Alabama A&M University, so you can always find me in Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I have friends there. I will come looking for you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we have, I don't see others. If you're here and you're a board member, just raise your hand up. We have the student leaders. Of course, Eric is on the student leadership. We have Anne. So we have the leadership for the students who run the show. Anne Jaffe is here. Eric, Kigen, Gilbert. Who else is here? Eric, help me. I can't see. I'm trying to look at the names. Okay. So we have a group. We have a group that we work together. And then, of course, we have our mentors. I see Wangoi Gadua, who is in Iowa. Dr. Cheng. I see Teresia Wasonga, who was my professor. She's still here. Teresia is in Illinois. You want to say that was my professor, so I got to be nice. Because you're my teacher in KU. I got to be nice. Dr. are you saying something?
Oh, did you want me to say something?
Actually, I just want to hear your voice. You just want to say, yeah. Because you've inspired me.
I might be hard. Yeah. Well, I got in late. I think I kind of did not get the time right. So I missed a lot, but I'd read the story.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, I'm at Northern Illinois University, and I run a school in Kenya too. If you come to Kenya, I'm about to retire now. Yeah, so this is kind of my last leg of things. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nice to see you all guys, students. Yeah, you will get there. If I'm about to retire, you will get there.
Great, great, great. So thank you again. We'll continue doing this. I hope you got something. I hope you got some takeaways from there. Stay empowered. Like Asha said, do not be afraid to ask questions. We're always here. Ask. And if we don't know, we'll ask somebody else. And if we don't know, we'll ask and keep asking until we find an answer. So at this moment, Pastor Esmond, please close for us with a word of prayer. And so give me a second. Anastasia's hand has been up. Anastasia, you want to say something real quick? I don't want to leave you out.
Yes, my name is Anastasia from Maryland, and I really want to congratulate Dr. Asha as an alumni of University of Nairobi School of Dentistry. We're really very happy, and we're also trying to see what we can achieve here, and we really get inspired by such stories. And it's my first time here in this forum, and I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, okay. Nice, nice. I'm glad you're here, Anastasia.
Karibu, karibu. Bernard Waswa, I just did their hands is up and down. Keep it quick.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I'm a grad student at the Ohio State University. I'm sorry I got the invitation like a few minutes ago, and I decided to join and find out what's going on. I think this is my first time to attend this forum, and I was invited by Dixon Otieno from Virginia Tech. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pastor, again, Asha, I don't know how to thank you. I know you had a busy day, and I promised to get you out of here in 1 hour. So let me keep my word. I don't want to get in trouble with you and your husband.
Okay.
Okay. So Pastor, close for us with a word of prayer.
Yeah, for sure. And I do appreciate. And for Bernardo Waswa, just know that I'm down the street from Ohio State. So please reach out to me. I will send you a message. We're in Columbus, Ohio. I just want to say, before I do a prayer, thank you to Professor Jerono. You continue to be an inspiration, a blessing. You know, just not an inspiration in terms of academics, but also a blessing in terms of the spiritual life that most of us come from Kenya, and sometimes we get ourselves in this country in a very tough situation, busy environment, and sometimes, you know, we have seen many people forget about their spiritual commitment, but you have been a person that has inspired many people, and I really appreciate you. You've been, someone that has inspired our church. We have a growing church in Columbus, Ohio. And most of you have met most of our team. The assistant to Professor Jerono is, Dr. Mose in the KESID team, who is our, choir master in our church. One of our, lead, persons in the community in terms of our, community events is Dr. Shuri, who's also a board member in our church in Columbus. So, but I want to say this. Of course, I chatted earlier with Professor Jerono that I'll be reaching out to her to mobilize all these people to be part of our graduation service for our church this year. Please, when she reaches out to you, don't hesitate to reach out to us and be part of us, because it inspires people. Yeah. Watu wakiona, Mkenya ameprogress, ameendelea, succeed, we inspire our young people. We have our young people who sometimes, in one way or the other, they don't understand that hata sisi, first generation tumekuja hapa Kenya, America from Kenya, kwamba succeed. When they see this, when they hear the stories like what Asha shared today, we make a revolution. So I am not trying to force anybody to be religious, but you have a role to play in our growth in terms of what we do in our communities and everything. So when we call upon you, we're not saying that, oh, just come be part of a religious movement, but come and inspire somebody. There's a young person out there waiting to hear this story in a very authentic way, simple, the way it's been shared tonight, and it makes a difference. So for me as a pastor, I do appreciate when I see all God's children, like all of you, coming together, sharing. You may not be religious, you may not be as things, but you can be as cultural, as Kenyan as it gets.
Yeah.
To share and say that there's a girl out there, there's a boy out there who will see this story and it will make that difference. Our church is based on that. And Professor Jerono can tell you, this is who we are, impacting everybody, changing lives. And our kids are getting impacted by hearing these stories. Oh, last year we had this story called that, just like people, how they look up to you is that, oh, there's somebody who looks like me who has succeeded. Those of you who follow Professor Jerono like myself, they can tell you that, her stories, wherever, every place she goes, like, oh my gosh, why can't I grow to be like this? And then when our kids see that, they'll be like, it inspires them. Let's be honest, it's different. As much as you will ever want to think that, they want to be like, sorry to say, like, the American inspirational mentors and everything, but we are the people they look up to. One professor, member of our board, always told me that we have a situation where our second generation, sometimes they don't want anything to do with us, but the third generation, they'll look for their roots.
It's true.
They will come back and say that, no, I want to know where do we come from? Who are our people? How do they come here? How do they succeed? Because you have seen these cases of whereby, people keep telling you, your children keep telling you that, oh, mimi sio Mkenya, me, I'm an American. But their children, I guarantee you, they will say, I am a Kenyan. Who are my people? They will look for Asha, they will look for Jerono, they'll look for Obed, they will look for somebody else, and you'll be surprised. This is what we are building. So what Professor Jerono you are doing, please hear from me. And I know I've told you this, hear from me. This is beyond generations to come. May God bless you.
Amen.
May God bless you. Please allow me to say a prayer. Dear God, we thank you for this forum that we have had tonight. You've united us in a very special way with a team so humbled to come together to hear authentic stories and inspiration that comes from people that have traveled this journey that we can relate with. Our prayer tonight is that this group will continue to expand, to inspire one another, and to impact the generations to come. My God and my Lord, I pray that none of these people that have joined in tonight will be disappointed by what you have prepared for them. But much more, we know that we have our young ones that are not in this group tonight, but will be inspired by what you have called us to do. Dear God, may our children become a part of this movement. May what your servant, Professor Jerono, and the rest of the team do become a movement that would translate into the generations to come. So that when all is said and done, we come together and say, It's the Lord that brought us together. We thank you and I pray tonight for your child that has become an inspiration to us tonight, Asha, that has shared her story so deeply, her journey through the loss of the parent, whatever she has traveled through and wherever she is. My God, open even the doors, even in the future plans that you have for her. May she continue shining and become a role model, a shining star, and an inspiration to all of us. We are your people and we want to inspire one another. Bind us together in one love, so that the time we meet next time, we'll be even stronger, a bigger group, a more inspired group. Tonight, as even your people retire, cover us with your precious blood. May we have a peaceful night. May none of these people lack anything because they sacrificed their time and even their resources to be a part of this movement. When they look back, they will say, I am so glad I became a part of this. Bless us, God. In all this, we surrender to you, for we are pieces of clay and you are the potter. Mold us to be the vessels you want in this generation. In Jesus' name, we pray and believe.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen.